It's another day and another build here in the studio at Microcenter. A couple months back, we did a build for the Doom Dark Ages release, but today,
we've got Doom Part 2.
Alex here with me again.
I'm back.
Today, we're doing another Doom build.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we can't stop doing Doom builds, but that's because we have this new case from HAVN. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous Doom Dark Ages themed PC case. And this is the HS420. This is a limited run. This is only one of 1,666 cases. And you can get this soon at your local Microcenter.
Brought me back in. We're going to be doing a soft line tube this time. We've got all of our Corsair products, so we're just running a line to our CPU, no GPU this time. And we are doing a red coolant with a little touch that we'll add in later.
Yeah, this is gonna be kind of cool. I'm actually really looking forward to this. There's gonna be a couple of surprises for you. So what we did was we took our old Doom PC and I just took all the parts out. So you can just take the old Doom PC, put it in the new Doom PC, and then I'm gonna take the case and I'm gonna go on a side quest. So I'll be back in a bit. Alex is gonna build with you guys. Have fun.
Yay, time to doom it up. So like I said before, we're doing a soft line tube loop to the CPU, and we've got a whole array of Corsair products here. So we've got our XD6 RGB Elite Reservoir and Pump combo. We got 2 3-packs of fans and our XC7 RGB Elite LCD CPU block, along with the XR5 360 radiator. For the setup of this, we are going to do our radiator on the top with the 3 fans up top, 3 fans up bottom, and then actually on the back of the case, we have spots for 2 140 fans, so we're gonna throw these bad boys in there and put our resin pump right here and get her going. Okay, so like Jordan mentioned before, we pulled a lot of parts out of our old Doom PC build, so we are rocking with a Ryzen 9 9800 X3D, the Corsair 32 gig kit of DDR5 RAM, the Asus TUF Gaming X870E board, and the GeForce RTX 5080 alongside the 850 watt power supply. So go ahead and start tearing my case apart and get the stuff in there. So basically, like any other computer build, I'm gonna put all my main components in first, including like all of my power supply cables, USB headers, things like that. Then I'll probably start throwing in my pump, and the Corsair components do use that IQ link hub, I believe, so we will get all of that wired up, and then we can start doing our tubing runs, and it's basically like every other build, just throwing in some liquid at the end. I am plugging in all of my power supply cables right now. I've got all my motherboard like headers, or like the case headers ran to the motherboard, so I'd like to get my GPU ran next. The fun thing about the Corsair like links is that they actually use PCIe cables to power it rather than SATA, so we had to hunt down our box to grab our extra cable, but we found it, so that's good. It's cool because it's got this back panel right here too that kind of hides the fans on the back. You have the logo for like the Doom right there on the back of the case. And we're doing 140s because we like airflow. So air cool gang, rise up. Super cool thing about this case too, we'll have to get a close-up shot where you route your cables out actually has a different design than your standard like little rubber shrouds that a lot of the cases come with. I really like it, it just kind of organizes the cables a bit better. Should be all good. We've got our motherboard and power supply cables routed, so I'm gonna go ahead and start and get my fans in the case. So I'm gonna do my bottom ones, my side, and then probably my top with my radiator, and then start throwing in the liquid cooling stuff. As with most of these cases now, there's a screw on the back right here that you just take out, and then you can pull your fan bracket out and mount it this way. Grab it from the other way around will probably help. Just for like fan cooling, we're gonna be doing intake on the bottom, exhaust on the top. We'll probably do exhaust on the back as well, and that should be fine for all the airflow in the case. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and take my radiator out of the box and get my fans mounted, and then we will pull this bracket out of the top, throw it on, link everything else up. Pretty much just the same as an AIO. I just had to be aware of where I was putting my like inlet and outlet, because I'm gonna have that mounted above where we're gonna have our reservoir, and that way we can just run straight lines down from that. But now we've got it all lined up here. The Corsair fans make it really nice with just one single cable. So it's gonna make it look like a really nice, tidy setup. So the Corsair IQ links, they only have 2 different ports for you to plug your fans in. So I'm just redoing how I daisy chained my fans together. That way I can only use 1 hub instead of having 2 and routing a lot more cables than I need. So I'll show you guys what I haven't routed once I'll flip it around and show y'all. So what I did is I originally had a longer cable running from this end of our fans down here at the back, but instead I routed our shorter cable on the bottom 140 back to our one down here, and another shorter cable from the 2 140s on the back, and then a longer cable from the top 140 routes back to our hub. People have all, yeah, that should have them all connected, so. Scrap that, we're definitely gonna need to use both hubs. I forgot we have the CPU block and our pump and reservoir. Both need that cable, so we're gonna have to do 2 of the links, but that's okay. Yeah, if you don't hook up all the links, you're not gonna have, like, your fans aren't gonna spin properly and it won't light up properly. But just gonna. Yeah, I was just going through, there's a few different ways that you can mount your reservoirs onto your case. Sometimes you can mount them directly to your radiator, sometimes you can mount them on the bottom of the case to the side. It just depends on like what works best for your loop setup. How these are designed is this is gonna mount to your side panel or your radiator, and then you're gonna thread this little bit into it, and then your reservoir / pump sits right on top of that. I missed one crucial step, y'all. I normally mount my CPU blocks on before I put everything in, but I forgot to do that. So we're gonna go ahead and pull this off really quick. The Corsair one is pretty standard. You just grab the correct mounting brackets for AM5 or like Intel or AMD, and you just slide the bracket on, and then it just mounts straight into that back plate. So it's pretty simple. On this one, you just have one USB-C cable that runs to another USB header on your motherboard to power and control it. Time to mount it. I flipped the computer back up. I'm just gonna mount it from the front really quickly. I did notice I didn't actually seat my mounting brackets down all the way, so it wasn't lining up properly. So if you have issues, just make sure that you can look on the side. It will line up. Like, make sure you don't have any gaps or anything right here. You should be good. I've decided to mount my inlet and outlet for this block on the bottom. That way we don't have to worry about clearance with the RAM or anything. All right, y'all, we fast forwarded a little bit. I just did a whole bunch of cable management in the back to get all my IQ Link things set up properly. We had to do a little bit of finagling to get our reservoir set up in here, but we should be pretty much good to start doing our tubing runs. So you can see we've got like all of our fans in here, and the cool thing about the Doom PC, we have this skull that we can mount on top of our reservoir, which is really sick. So we also ended up just making our own little support bracket down here, but everything seems to be lining up properly. So we're good to start putting our fittings in. So shout out Corsair, we have the XF compression gold fittings for the soft line. These are a little bit different than what you might find for like the hardline tubing that we did last time. These work in a pretty similar way, but you don't have that inside O-ring like you do on the hardline tubes. So what this does is you just have 2 parts. You have the cap and then the piece that you actually put the soft tube fitting on, or the soft tube on. So you basically, little port right here, and just shove the tube on and tighten it down, and that's how you create your seal. So it's pretty straightforward. Go ahead and screw these in and start measuring out how long we want to cut our lines. You might be wondering why we chose gold for the fittings as opposed to like white, silver, or black. And it's just because the Doom PC, this like limited edition case, does have a lot of like gold accents. So I think this will fit in really nicely with the rest of the like case aesthetic. Okay, we've got all of our fittings nice and snug, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull out our tubes and start measuring roughly how long we're gonna need them to be, and I'm just gonna look at my picture again that I drew up and make sure I've got all of my lines routed properly, because again, the flow of where you run your components, so it doesn't matter if you do CPU to radiator, or radiator to CPU, and then to reservoir, just make sure you don't have conflicting flows. So double checked on our reservoir and our CPU block what the inlets and outlet ports are. So what we're gonna do is run out of our reservoir, so out to the in of the CPU block, out of the CPU block to the in of the radiator, and then out of the radiator to the inlet of the reservoir, which can feed back in. And then on the side right here, we do have our drain plug because I refuse to do a build without a drain plug. So there's where we have it. We've got our Corsair soft line tubing. Most of the time, if you're matching up components to the manufacturer, you really don't have to worry about like sizing on it. Some manufacturers do make different diameter fittings and tubing, so you do have to be wary, but in this case, we are doing an inner diameter of 10 millimeters and an outer diameter of 13 millimeters. So that matches up to our fitting, so we should be all good. It's like ASMR. This is 9.8 feet of tubing. Probably don't need it all, but you still want to be wary about where you are making your cuts because you don't want to just start making them and then have no tubing runs that you can use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and connect this end to our port, and that way I don't have to worry about like where this is sitting, and that way I can run it to my next fitting and then just make my cut there. Slide your top piece of the fitting onto the tube first, and you just kind of have to do a little wiggle. Soft tubing, in my opinion, is a lot easier to push on and get like a proper seating than like hard tubing might be. You really just have to make sure when you cut the tube that you try to get it like a nice even cut, and that way it can sit very flush on the end of your fitting and just minimize any possible avenues for leaks. So once that's on, that's pretty good. We'll end up coming down here because we'll have to take into account, so our GPU is gonna sit right up here. So we'll just have to be weary about like when this tube comes down. The other thing with soft tube, you do have to be kind of weary of like how you screw it onto the fitting because you can actually start getting kinks in it. Doesn't necessarily affect the performance unless you completely cut off the circulation. But just be mindful of that when you start screwing down the fittings. So I'm just gonna use a trusty pair of Cobalt scissors. A lot of people also use kind of like the U-shaped cutters to get like that nice cut since this is rounded, but scissors work fine, just be careful. Probably somewhere around there. I can just kind of like flatten it out and, oh my gosh. And it's cut. You can kind of see, like I did get like a little bit of a lip there. Just gonna take my scissors, cut that down just a little bit. Don't forget your fitting. No cap, right guys? No? Tough crowd. See, that's where you can that's what I'm talking about with the kinking. So you have to be mindful of like where you run. On these, so like with the hardline tubings, you definitely want to make sure you get like down to like the millimeter if you can. But on the soft tubing, I do actually like to leave a little bit of play with where my tubes run. That way you can kind of minimize the kinking that you might get on like the bends where you like tighten down the fittings. And also it just makes for maintenance a lot easier. A lot of people for like their workstation computers will do like the soft line tube because you get better thermal performance, but still easier to maintain than the hard line tube. And if you don't care necessarily about the aesthetics, just one little slice and run. And I just cut the little tip of this off because like the last one I had just like a little bit of, it wasn't quite even, so I just smoothed it down a little bit. So we can go ahead and take our next run. I'm gonna go ahead and go up to the top of my radiator here. And you can kind of see, like roughly it's gonna hit right here. I'm just gonna cut and give myself a little bit of extra distance. Kind of messed up that cut, but soft tubing is a lot easier to come back from than hard tubing, so. Again, just gonna cut off a little tip of this right here to clean up that line. I implore everybody, like everybody to do the soft tubing. Like it makes you feel like an engineer without having to do the 4-year degree. So tell that to my dad, he'll like that. Okay, well, the lines are ran, but we've got extra tubes, so I'm gonna redo one of them because we've got some haters on the premises. You can keep that one. Yeah. If you want to send me care packages, I take Labubu's. So Jordan brought up a good point. I should probably put in my GPU to see how that fits because it's a pretty beefy card. So before I actually cut this new line, I'm gonna go ahead and put the GPU in and see how that looks in the system. And I can determine like where I'm gonna and how long I'm gonna make this run. So I'm just gonna pull out our brackets really quick so I can get that mounted. Okay, GPU is in, and that most definitely would have ran into my line. So, you know, take into account what I preach and think about all your possible runnings and where your components might hit before you start cutting your tubes. There's just something about running these soft line tubes that really gets the blood flowing, right guys? I took some artistic freedom here to do some loops because we're doing the red coolant, so we kind of make it look like gross and blood and flowy. So have that all tightened down and I think we should be good.
Okay, so I'm back from my side quest and I come bearing gifts. Look what I got.
No,
Yeah.
no, that's crazy.
So this is the official Doom Dark Ages ROG Astral 5080. Now we do not sell this at Microcenter actually. We do sell a wide range of 5080s though that you can get, but we don't have this one. So I got this one from Bethesda. So that's what I've been doing in the background. I figured this one would match this case really, really well. What do you think?
I think this is going to be the icing on the cake.
Now you have to take that GP out and put that one in.
Oh.
I'll help you.
He just like really knows how to brighten my day.
This is a structural support skull. I think we're like the first people on planet Earth to actually build a build with this case. Yeah. And so the way to support this reservoir, we would have to take off these panels, but the panels, they look really cool.
They look really cool, yeah.
And we just didn't want to take it off. So we took a piece from our old Doom build and we're using it to support the reservoir. And then the magnetic skull is actually really strong. So that's what's kind of like keeping it in place. It works. But I'm gonna have to hold this while you swap out the GPU.
So this is not something I would do as a service tech in our shop. It's my mechanic special for Jordan.
Yeah, this is the studio special. We're gonna kind of wing it here. The official way to mount this reservoir, it comes with a bracket that goes, there's mounting points behind these plates. But aesthetically, we just thought it looks really cool to have the plates there. And at least for today, I think it's okay to have it like this. And then we'll just change it. All right, I'll get our structural support skull. It's kind of cool though, because it holds it in place just like that. This is looking really nice.
This case even came with a really nice GPU bracket with a little skull in it, which is nice. So I'm adjusting this because it was hitting our fan on the side right there. But after that, I'm gonna unplug my motherboard cable and put our jumper on it. That way we are just gonna power the pump on the reservoir. So if I do have any leaks, again, we're not powering on the entire system, just the pump. So we don't have to worry about that. But just gonna adjust this, fill up our little squirt bottle for filling up the reservoir and get going.
It looks like Hawaiian Punch. Yeah, I think this kind of looks bloody, right?
Oh yeah. Also, these reservoirs are designed if you need to, or if you want to, you can feed your coolant down through the top on this port on the top. But since we're covering that with the skull, definitely want to make sure you want to put a plug on there so you create that airtight seal. Otherwise, you're just going to constantly have air getting into the system, and that is a no bueno. All right, it's go time, y'all. All the fittings are tight. I'm giving everybody a heart attack in the room. Let's see if we get any leaks. Ugh.
Does look like blood. I hope I put that cap on tight. All right, say when.
All right.
Moment of truth.
There we go. Shut it off.
Nice. Looking pretty good. This is just in time for Halloween, guys. Oh, we got our first. It's actually coming from the bottle itself.
It gives you like the temps and everything too, which is really cool.
Very floppy. Little bubbles.
Yeah. You always notice that a lot more with the colored coolant.
All right, I'm gonna get the skeleton. All right, so structural support skull going in place. There we go. Look at that.
Thankfully, it is a soft line system, so we can move it around a lot more if this was hard line.
I will say the magnet on that skull is extremely strong. Like it's actually holding the reservoir in place really well. Good job.
Yay, we're done.
This looks really good.
Yes.
Like this looks really, really good.
It looks really good. It looks even better when it's turned on and boots.
Yeah.
So.
Ooh. I like it. So that's the RGB from the case itself. That's why.
Oh, okay. Okay, no, you did change it. No, this ended up coming out better than I thought it was gonna look.
I like it a lot. So how was it building in this case?
This case is honestly really nice to build in. There's plenty of room in the back to run all of your cables and cable management. It's really nice. I do really like, I'll turn this around. There is the side panel on the back right here, and that way you can mount my 140s right here and hide that on the back, and you can hide a lot of your like IO cables as well.
Yeah, there's some cables that are actually hidden inside of there. And the cool thing is, there's cable runs inside, and they actually show what you should be running in those cable runs. So it says like which cable you should put there, which is actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
But they also use this really sick gold font.
Yeah.
Speaking of gold, what do you think about the fittings?
I ended up really liking, I think the fittings match really well with the gold on the card too. I think it just brings a nice pop of color to otherwise a lot of just green and red.
And our blood tubes, I think, actually look really, really good.
I really like the etching on the front panel there too.
Yeah, they did a good job with this case. I'm stoked.
The little grommets where you run like your motherboard cable and things like that, I really like how they have that design too with the slit. So it just makes it easier to, it just looks cleaner than your typical like wire grommets that you have, so.
So remember, you can get your hands on this limited edition Doom Dark Ages HAVN case at your local microcenter. This is coming very soon, so check the link in the description below. And as always, it was great having you in the studio. I hope you had fun.
I love it, I always have fun.
And now you get to take home this helmet, but only if it fits.
I got a big noggin.
Okay, well then you have to wear it like that. Oh, you know what? The one thing that we didn't call out that actually came out really good?
Yeah.
There's a little piece of leather there.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of nice.
The panel is really easy to pop off and onto, which I like. And I like that they secure, because I mean, this is that rounded glass, so it can break easier than your typical like regular glass panel, so I like that they have multiple mounting points for screws too, just to make sure that everything stays nice and secure.
Yeah, and the way it mounts into it kind of comes in at an angle and then it slides into place, which is kind of cool. Yeah. They really engineered this well, but also all of the details that they put, you know, artistically, all of the little like gold details, even the button looks really cool and really Doom-esque. So I like the way it looks.
The plates that go around the fans on the back too, I really like those designs. I mean, you can just tell there was so much small levels of detail just thrown into every little bit to this case. It really, I think, speaks to Doom well.
I like it. Well, I'm gonna go play some Doom Dark Ages now.
I'm gonna hit up that Fortnite lobby.
I have the Doom skin in Fortnite.
Oh, I have Ariana Grande.
Oh, okay, yeah, we played different. That's cool. All right, well, make sure you stop by your local microcenter if you want to get a build as good looking as this. And remember, you can get your hands on this case very, very soon. So stop by your local microcenter. And if you don't have a microcenter near you, be sure to comment hashtag I want a microcenter near me.
You didn't see that? I'm curious how heavy this thing is gonna feel when it's...
I don't think it's gonna be as heavy as the last one.
Yeah.
The last one was way heavier.
Like every part in that computer was heavy. Cut the cameras!